I had a VIP day yesterday with one of my clients where they flew in with their team from the United Kingdom to work with me at my condo for a few hours so I could help them scale their business. And they have two different companies. One's an advertising agency doing a few $100,000 a month, and one is a coaching program doing a few $100,000 a month. And they asked me a question that's probably relevant to a lot of you watching this video here, which was, how do I know which business to keep? How do I know which business to kill? Should I keep on scaling both businesses? Or maybe if you're thinking of starting a business, you have to ask yourself, there's all these different business options out there, all these different business models. Which type of business should I start for the highest chance of success and making the most money? Or maybe it's actually inside one specific business. You have multiple different product lines and you're trying to ask yourself like, should I have all of these? Should I launch this new product line over here, this shiny object syndrome? So they asked me like, what's your mental model? What's your framework when you're trying to make decisions of like, should I add this new thing to my business? Should I try out to test this new thing? Or if you're watching this, it could be, should I even launch this new business idea in the first place? And so I want to walk through in this video my mental model. So the first thing you have to understand is that businesses, the average lifespan as of 2019 is down to about 10 years right now. So on average, a business that is started has about 10 years before it is either bought, acquired, or liquidated. So it's not like you're having a business for 50, 60, 70 years. You have it for about 10 years, but it's also not like you're going to have a business for 6 months or 12 months, because as soon as you start making a little bit of money, then you're probably going to want to keep that business around, but that might be a problem, as I'll talk about here in a moment. And it's interesting if every business lasts about 10 years, because on average between both sexes, the human lifespan is 76 years. Okay, so 76 years between males and females on average. That's how long somebody has to live. So if we were to actually look at like your life, you really have 4 chances for 4 different businesses in order to get it right, in order to make the big bucks. So whatever the amount you're telling yourself, I want to make $1 million, I want to make $10 million, I want to make $100 million, I want to make $1 billion, you're really going to have 4 good goes at it. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, fail until you succeed, blah, 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 which I 100% believe in, but a little bit of strategy and thought up front could actually lead you to have success a lot faster and could prevent you from hitting 50 years old, 60 years old, and you've started 10, 15 businesses, maybe like with only 4 of them being decent, but never actually hitting the number that you want to hit. So what we want to do is in one of these goes here, in one of these 4 goes that you have in your life to get a business that has some legs to it, to scale it to the number that you want to go, you want to make sure that you're doing the right business, the right product line, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the truth is that we know that the future is pretty insane right now. What is about to happen is not the same as what it's been in the past, in the sense that people are now going to be having one person $10 million companies, one person $100 million companies. And then this is Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, who created ChatGPT. And he said, in my little group chat with my tech CEO friends, there's a betting pool for the first year. There's a 1-person billion-dollar company, which would have been unimaginable without AI. And now it will happen. So arguably one of the smartest guys in the world saying not if there's going to be a 1-person billion-dollar company, but when is there going to be a 1-person billion-dollar company? And so we have to ask ourselves, all things being equal, if we only have 4 shots at this roulette wheel to make it happen, then maybe we need to be paying a little bit more attention to which opportunity we go after, which business we're starting, which business we're scaling, which product line we're launching, in order to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time. And I imagine that's what everybody watching this video wants to do. They want to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time. But let's talk about what is defined as making the most amount of money in the least amount of time. Well, that's essentially what profit is. Okay, profit is when you're actually taking the money home and putting it in your pocket. And I know that some of this stuff may feel a little basic, but just wait with me until the end if you already know the answers to this, because I think it may force you to look at this a little bit differently. So profit is price minus cost. That's what your profit is. Okay, so when people are talking about, I want to make a lot of money, they're saying, I want to make a lot of profit. And the mistake that a lot of people do is, in order to try to make more profit, they do 2 different scenarios. So the first scenario is they try to increase their price. So they say, oh, let me just, instead of charging low ticket, let me do high ticket. And instead of charging this amount for high ticket, let me increase the price for high ticket. But the problem is that because they don't understand the mental models I'm going to walk through with you in a little bit, a lot of people also inevitably increase their costs. So maybe they want to go from selling low ticket in this course and they want to go to high ticket. But the problem with going high ticket is then you got to offer client success and you offer one-on-one support and all that stuff. So even though you're charging more money, a lot of times you could actually end up with the exact same amount of profit that you had previously. And the other way that people try to make more profit is they try to decrease their costs. So they say, okay, let me maybe offer our clients less, or I do less for my clients, so that way I don't have to spend so much more money. But if you're not using when I'm talking about this video here, then you're inevitably going to have to decrease your price because it doesn't make sense. If you go from helping somebody one-on-one to not helping them one-on-one and they have to consume course modules instead, let's say, for example, then it's going to be very difficult for you to charge the same amount of money as you were before, especially if there's someone else in the marketplace that is offering the one-on-one help for their stuff. So those two instances don't ever work. But what does work, and I know this is basic, but what does work is when you are both increasing your pricing and decreasing your costs, and that is the absolute only way to make more money, to take more money in your pocket, is to increase the amount that you're charging people and at the same time to decrease the amount of cost that you're doing. Okay, that's how you actually make more profit, and you make more profit consistently. So the question you have to ask yourself is, well, Ravi, how do I do that? How do I increase my price and decrease my costs? Well, the main way you want to do that is you want to add leverage to everything that you're doing. And this is the mental model that I ask myself anytime I'm about to do anything. If I get presented with an opportunity, if somebody asks me, hey, you should be doing this, or I'm thinking maybe I should start this new product line, the question I always ask myself is, how much leverage can I apply to this? Because in all things being equal, if I know that there's soon going to be one-person billion-dollar companies out there because there's so much leverage in that opportunity, then why would I be spending my time and energy doing stuff that has absolutely no leverage? So an example of that would be like if someone was running a one-person billion-dollar company with AI, that's a lot of leverage versus me if I was, I don't know, helping people. I was a personal trainer helping people get in shape, and I was working 10 hours a day one-on-one with every single client. That's not very leverage. You know what I mean? Those people are probably working the exact same amount of time, but the person that has more leverage, that's a one-person billion-dollar company, they're going to make obviously the most amount of profit possible, right? And the person that is doing the in-person thing, they obviously have a whole lot of costs. They have their time, energy, effort, et cetera, et cetera. So leverage is very simple. It's whenever you put one unit of input in and you get multiple units of input out. So there are multiple forms of leverage, which I'm going to walk through inside of here. And I'm going to give you very specific examples of how you can apply leverage to your business. But if you're just starting out, you need to ask yourself, how much leverage does this opportunity have? Meaning that how much can I get out of this for just a small input? If you already have a business and you're thinking of scaling and someone's presenting opportunities to you, a new product line, a new marketing system, whatever else it is, you also have to ask yourself, how much leverage is involved in this, right? You know, an example of poor leverage would be maybe cold email. It's like, okay, that's one-to-one. You're sending a cold email to people. An example of high leverage could be like Facebook ads, where you're putting a little bit of money in and you're getting a lot of money back out. Okay, so there's actually 4 main types of leverage. I'm going to walk through them in the least important or the least beneficial order, right? And I didn't come up with this. This is from a guy named Naval Ravikant. He's like, I would consider a genius in our generation. And he talks about there's 4 main types of leverage. The first type of leverage is people, right? This is human beings, okay? I think he calls it contribution. And so people are essentially employees or contractors. That's a form of leverage. So going back to this thing here, if I'm working, let's go back to that gym personal trainer. If I'm a personal trainer and I'm going to the gym and I'm working 8 hours a day and I only get paid whenever I'm working, I have no leverage. But then maybe I actually say, you know what, let me hire some personal trainers underneath me, and instead of me doing all the personal training myself, I'm going to pay this personal trainer in order to do the work for me. And that's really great because you're adding leverage. So I'm getting paid, quote unquote, when I'm not working. But the problem with leverage is that you're increasing your costs because going back to that profit thing, because now you have to pay that employee, right? So there's no doubt about it. So you have to increase your costs. And the second downside about the people leverage or contribution leverage, I'm sorry, collaboration leverage is that you have to get someone's permission. So I have to ask somebody in order to work for me. I can't just force somebody to come work for me. So that's why it is the lowest form of leverage out there. And this is really how the Industrial Revolution, this is how America really became what America is using this form of leverage. Okay. Yeah. Let's hire a bunch of people. Let's put them to work. I charge them $10 an hour, but I'm making $12 an hour, and that my net margin is that $2 an hour. Okay. So that's the first form of leverage. Not great, but it's doable. And we have a team, and I love my team members. Second form of leverage is going to be capital, right? So capital as leverage is the second, I guess, least worst. I guess I should have done this reverse form of leverage. So it is a little bit better than people because you don't actually, you can get usually a higher return on it. So for example, if I was to run Facebook ads and I'm spending money on Facebook ads, you can see right here that this has a 6x return on ad spend. So I'm putting $1 in and I'm getting $6.75 out in this ad spend here. So I'm taking taking the money that I'm making, that I've made from my clients, I've gotten their permission for taking their money, or the money that I've made elsewhere, and I'm investing it into my business, into Facebook ads, and I'm getting almost a 700% return, which is pretty awesome considering this is, this is a low ticket funnel where I'm getting same day return. So I'm getting 700% same day. And actually, if you extrapolated 700 times 365, so 255,000% return. A lot of times in like stocks or real estate, you're talking about 5%, 8%, 10% a year. So this is insane to talk about. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of percentage a year, if that actually extrapolates out, but you essentially get the idea. So I'm paying money, and this is another better form of leverage. But once again, the downside of this is that I have to ask people's permission. Either I have to charge people, and so they have to give me money from it. I have to get money from somewhere else. I have to ask investors to come invest in my company. So it is better than using people, but it's still not one of the best forms of leverage because I still have to ask for help from other people. Okay, so then let's go down here. Let's go to the next form of leverage, and this is going to be media. This video right here is a form of leverage. So if you're talking about specific examples, we have a community called Scaling School. It's a membership site, and we put all of my in-depth, like intensive trainings that go way more in-depth than what I do on YouTube. I put them all inside of here, and this is really great because I don't need anybody's permission to do this. I didn't need to ask anybody to create this membership site. I didn't need to ask anybody to shoot this video right here. I just shot it on my own, and then tens of thousands or millions of people could watch this video, and it doesn't take me any more time, energy, or effort. I didn't need anyone's permission for it. Exact same thing for like a course, a digital product, something like that, because I'm filming these things one time, and then people are coming in and paying me $90 a month for access to them, plus the new ones that I'm releasing as well. So that's a great form of leverage. That is an amazing form of leverage. Compared to the other two, I don't need to ask people's permission, and I have absolutely no costs involved in this, right? So that's why this is one of the better forms of leverage. Out of the four forms, this is in the top two, right? And then I would even argue the best form of leverage that there is out there is going to be AI or software. That's the fourth form of leverage, because this is something where you have literally no marginal cost of reproduction, which essentially means that I could build this AI one time, and whether one person uses it or 10 million people use it, it really doesn't cost me any more money, or not a whole lot more money. Obviously I'm just generalizing here, but you get the idea behind it. And so for our clients, we help them build membership sites and low ticket products that ascend into their high ticket company using product-led growth. And one of the ways that we help our clients do that is I created an AI software that actually builds the entire community for them in 30 seconds. So I went inside of there. I spent quite a bit of time up front, didn't need anybody's permission, didn't need to ask anybody, didn't cost me anything, obviously, other than building it. And then once I built it, I now give it to all of my clients. And then within 30 seconds of joining, they can literally have their entire membership site built out, plus over like 20 different courses that they can have already written out for them, right? So that is a form of leverage. That's code. I didn't need to get anybody's permission for it. And now somebody can use that, and I can lower my costs. So instead of having to do one-on-one work with clients for every single step of the way, I can say, hey, this is a much faster. You can do this in 30 seconds versus booking a call on my calendar, et cetera, which I'll talk more about that later. But the idea being that I literally just did this one time, and then it can be duplicated over and over and over and over again. So hopefully you're understanding how to add leverage inside of your business. And that's how you really should make a decision. Every decision you make, you know that it's possible to make $1 million. You know it's possible to make $10 million. You know it's possible to make $100 million. You know it's possible to make $1 billion because other people have done it. So the question you have to ask yourself is, which one of these opportunities, which one of these things in front of me here can I apply the most leverage to get the most amount of money, the least amount of time, the least amount of cost and effort? So let me just walk through a few examples of leverage that you can use inside your business in a few of the main areas inside of your company. So the first... So the first area that you should be thinking of applying leverage in your business is going to be the actual business model itself. And I have a whole separate video where I cover what the hybrid offer is, but this is where you take most people, they have a service-based business model, and they think it's all done for you, it's all do it yourself, it's all done with you. And in reality, in today's day and age, in the competitive market landscape, you need to be thinking about, how do I create a hybrid offer? So I use a little bit of done for you, a little bit of do it yourself, and a little bit of done with you. So a great example of that is this AI thing that I created. So this is something my client would do themselves. They would build this out for them, but then we have a lot of other elements that are done for you and that are done with you, right? So this is a beautiful blend of things where I can lower my costs without having to lower my price, because my clients are still getting the same amount of value as they were before. And if anything, it's more value because we're speeding up the process of getting that value to begin with, right? So the first area you need to ask yourself, how can I add leverage, is in the actual business model itself, right? So if you're that personal trainer doing one-on-one work with other people, then you have to think, how do I add leverage to that? The second area that you can do into it is in something called product-led growth. I have another YouTube video where I go in depth on this, but product-led growth is a go-to-market strategy that relies on product usage as a primary driver of acquisition, conversions, and expansion. So most companies are sales-led when it comes to their business, meaning that the person has to hear about their company from an ad or something like that, get on a sales call, and then and only then can they use a product. What I recommend people doing and what we help our clients do for high-ticket businesses, et cetera, is go product-led. And product-led is when you have the person use the product, and the product is typically going to be something that uses the highest forms of leverage. So media and software, a great example of that is membership sites. That's why we show people how to build membership sites, right? So they can literally try out the product before they decide if they want to keep on using it, and then they can book a sales call to speak with us. And I have another video where I go much more in depth on this, and I show proof of people buying our $37 products and going all the way up and buying our highest level masterminds and programs. And some of these people buying the $37 products, I won't say their name on here, but they are CEOs of multiple 8 and even 9-figure companies that are buying. And so everyone's like, oh, they're not going to buy a $37 product, blah, blah, blah. Yes, they will, because people want to test it out first. So that's a high form of leverage, because I don't need anybody's permission for this. And I can literally just run an ad to a low ticket product or a membership site. They can test out the product, and then they can book on the sales call. And so that's incredibly more leverage than forcing every single person that's even remotely interested in me to get on a sales call with somebody. And now I have to hire all these salespeople, handle all these sales calls. These people don't even know what we do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So product-led growth is another form. That's the marketing side. Now let's talk about on the actual sales side of things. So on the sales side of things, you can use something called a sales call scoring calculator. This is also something I have a YouTube video on as well. And in a sales call scoring calculator, you're essentially taking the same amount of calls that you've been getting previously, but instead of just letting anybody speak with your sales team, you're actually putting them through a process to determine whether you should even speak with them in the first place. So an example of this would be if somebody was totally unqualified. So let's say that, I don't know, they were based in a country where you know that you never close any deals, you'd cancel them off the calendar. Then the next step here would be like if they weren't totally unqualified, but maybe you're unsure if they should be worth your sales team's time, right? So maybe they answer a question not amazingly well, but you know that maybe you should speak with them. You just don't know if maybe it's going to be worth your top closer's time. Well, then you can mark them as a 2. You could double book them on the calendar. You could have somebody outbound dial them. And then if somebody ends up being a 3 or a 4 based on this sales call scoring calculator, then you always take that sales call. And we were able to do that, and we doubled the efficiency of our sales team. So that's a great example of adding leverage, because we have the same amount of calls that were coming in, but we actually ended up making more sales because we were able to make sales faster because we weren't having our calendar filled with unqualified people, okay? So it's a great example of doing leverage on the sales team. And then we'll talk about it on the client success team or fulfillment side of things. So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but looking at your offer, looking at your service delivery, and ask yourself, how can I speed up this process? How can I add one of these forms of leverage into my client's success process? And so for us, it was adding AI into it. And so it took me quite a while to build out the AI software to be like perfect or as close to perfect as I can make it. And once it was built out, now our clients could come in and build the entire membership site, the entire sales copy blueprint in 30 seconds. And what used to happen is they'd come in, they'd do all this market research, they'd go out and speak out to their customers and their clients, they'd go online, look at competitors, they'd create these worksheets. And I took this thing that used to take days and getting on a call with us and all that stuff, and I boiled it down to literally 30 seconds, and I put it inside an AI software, okay? And the final way I'll show you inside of here, because this is actually what I was talking about yesterday in my VIP day, is in the operations side of department. So the operations is like the glue that holds the company together. And so the operations is kind of in charge of increasing the efficiency or adding leverage to the different departments, especially cross-department communication. So a great example is whenever we have testimonials or client wins from our clients, you have client success that may be in charge of collecting them from the clients, but then what about marketing, trying to post them online or use them in ads or use them in email blasts or put them on our website, and then they got to kind of communicate with each other. And then what happens later on when we have a salesperson and they're saying, hey, this guy wants a testimonial of proof that we worked with this person in this industry. And so then the salesperson's asking client success, who's asking marketing. And so instead, what you can do is you want to minimize as much unnecessary cross-department communication as possible. So one of the things that we created was a ring the bell form. And so now what happens to our client success team, anytime they see a win, they fill out this form where they put in their company email, they put the client's name, which program or offer it is, if it's an image or video, and then they'll actually take a screenshot upload it to this little form right here, and they make it in this format so that it looks very good, and then they'll submit it in, and they'll put the text here as well. And so the nice thing about this is now we just have our Ring the Bell channel inside Slack ringing every single day, no pun intended there. And so I can see, everybody can see in the company how amazing our programs are and how our clients are seeing results, and so it kind of increases conviction and buy-in. And then on top of it, our marketing team, every time they're running a new ad or they're about to shoot a new email, they can literally just pull it from there, and then the sales team can just Control F inside of a channel and search that specific channel for any words like real estate or something like that, and find exact ring the bells and testimonials for those. So ask yourself right now, at the end of all of this, how can I add leverage into my business in order to increase my price, reduce my cost, and make sure that one of those 4 attempts that I have to scale my business is successful in the highest way possible.